Hey there. I'm Jennifer with scrapsoflife.com, and today is Saturday, August 27th, 2022, which makes this the week 34 Cre8 Brilliance update. Hey, how you doing? Um, if you hear some hammering or sawing or whatever in the background, it's because Todd is working on the downstairs bathroom. Those of you who have followed this channel for a while know that we started renovating the downstairs bathroom in our century home, um, 5 years ago, and it's still not done. There's reasons for that. One of the big reasons was the roof. Every time we thought we had the a leak in the roof fixed and solved, suddenly, it would, we'd get to a certain point in finishing the bathroom renovation, and there'd be it'd rain, and we were like, "Oh, no, the leak is still there." So, after ages of fighting with it and then just general fatigue of the project in general, bless his heart, Todd would get in there. He would work so hard to get the walls just, the drywall and the mudding and the taping. He'd get everything set, and then it'd rain, the roof would leak, and it would be ruined. So I could so that's just kind of been the way things have been going. And but now, earlier, was it earlier this year or was it last year? I guess it was last year. Finally, we just we bit the bullet and we had a new roof put on. Ignoring the fact that we had a new roof put on 8 years ago when we bought the house. It's a whole thing. I'm not going to go into it right now. But he is in there right now replacing the window because he had rebuilt the window frame that's in that bathroom, so that we could maintain the use of the old double sash windows with the ropes and pulleys and all that wonderful stuff. Um, he rebuilt the frame and it just wasn't working quite right. And my theory, whether it's right or not, I don't know. But my theory is that it has to do with, it's like he measured everything, but, maybe differences in lumber from back then into now. I don't know. Um, anyway, it didn't fit and seal the way we wanted it to. And then again, there was a delay in just getting back to it. And so we ended up a couple months ago, maybe 3 months ago at this point, just deciding that it was going to be best for that room and in general, because we were also having a problem with the way the water was sheeting down from the gutters and hitting that area. Um, we were just going to replace the window. We're maintaining all the parts so that the pulleys and the weights and stuff can be reused on other windows that are in the house. And I'm sure we're going to run into, missing or broken pulleys or whatever. Or the weights that have dropped into the wall and we can't get to them anymore. But yeah, so we decided to go ahead and order a replacement window. Um, and it came in and it's been in for a couple weeks now. And so Todd went to, pull the old one out and was going to install the new one, but it turned out the sill underneath was just absolutely rotted. So it needed to be rebuilt. And so he's doing that right now. He's getting the sill all put back together and done so that hopefully we'll go back to having a window. Not just a window, but a functioning window. And then now that the roof is done and once the window is in place, then we can see about actually finishing the room for once and for all. At any rate, so that's what's going on behind me. Well, over there, the bathroom is catty corner to that corner of my office. But anyway, what have I been up to this week? Among other things, I have made some serious progress finally, um, in creating the second draft of book 4, which I'll go ahead and tell you the title, unless something happens at the last minute to change my mind, is Mother Mayhem. So Mother Mayhem, I am less than 20 pages away from completing the second draft. This is the first book that I've had to do a second draft on, just because how many changes I was making and how much I was rearranging, and I did not feel comfortable just leaving it as revisions. And that, no, I'm like, no, this is going to be a full-on second draft. I'm gonna have it printed and bound so that's easier for me to like read through and make changes, and so that I can do the revisions and then we can move forward. It feels so good to get that done. Um, Also, I finished. I'm gonna pull this up so you can see. This is the Torch Lily cowl. And I do not have the designer's name, but it's crocheted from a gradient cake, and we just got these in at the shop a few weeks ago, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so dying to play with one of these." And this is the sage color, and this is my personal. This is not a store sample, and it's great. It goes from and this one was kind of monochromatic. A lot of them are not, and it's Wonderland Fibers Blossoms line, and it was really fun to make, and it was a very quick project, maybe 2 or 3 evenings, um amongst everything else that I was doing. I also finished another store sample, which again, it's at the shop now because I brought it in today, and handed it over. But I also, they get first dibs at sharing it anywhere. Eventually I will put it up on my socials and stuff. But so that's two shop samples that I've done so far, and loved the whole process of them. It's so freeing to work on something there. It's like, okay, I don't have to necessarily, I mean, I want to be happy with it, but it doesn't have to be my style, it doesn't have to be my colors, it's for somebody else. And that's cool. I it was a different feeling. One of my coworkers called it homework knitting, and yeah, yeah. Homework's cool. I liked homework in school. I liked being able to like take an assignment and then just be on my own in my room and just like, read and work through it, and or do whatever. Yeah, I loved that stuff. So anyway, but now I have two more projects to do for store samples, and I'm really excited. One is a shawl, and one is, are they both shawls? One's a shawl and a knit shawl, and one is a crocheted granny square. It was like a wrap, and there's a cowl version, but we're making some changes to it to make kind of a scarf, but like a wide scarf. So a scarf wrap something. Anyway, I'm really excited because it's yarns that I haven't played with yet, and again, they may not be what I would choose to wear because of either color or fiber content. Maybe it itches me too much to wear, but they're still it's gorgeous yarns. I have texture sensitivity issues sometimes, and yeah, that's a whole thing. But yeah, so it's fun to work on those. And then of course um I did bring home some yarn for my stash, but it was just too good to pass up. And so I'm kind of like planning my next projects now, because now that this is finished, and oh, well, I showed you the sweater I finished and wore in the last video. I'm like, okay, I have one more project on the hook. And then so it's like, all right, so what's my other project gonna be? It's like, what am I always have to have at least a couple going, in addition to the store stuff, but these are just for May. And yeah, so I'm like planning which one I'm gonna do next, and what I'm gonna do with the various yarns. And it feels so good to just be working with it. So all that being said, oh, let's see, what else did I do? Oh, right, on Monday I baked cookies. It seems like such a small thing at times, but I wasn't doing meal preps. I wasn't doing it. Originally, I was going to make them and bring them to book club because why not, right? But, book club got moved a week because of schedule stuff, and I'm like, "Well, I said I was gonna bake, and in my brain, I still wanna bake." So I baked cookies, and it was just so simple and sweet and honest, and y'all, I don't, like, bake for fun as much anymore. It's usually like, "Okay, I'm making meals for the week so that I can get this taken care of. It's a requirement." Feeding ourselves is a requirement. We do have to be responsible adults and do that kinda thing. But also with, or it's like, "Oh, it's this, it's that." I don't just say, "Oh, I feel like making cookies." Um and this time I did, and I'm like, "Wow, I kinda miss just that simple pleasure of making a batch of cookies and then having fresh, homemade cookies in a cookie jar." It's one of those things that I just kind of had gotten away from, and I'm like, "Gosh, I might need to do this a little bit more often. This was nice. This was fun." And I ended up bringing some to work, and they enjoyed them immensely, and that's always gratifying. Anyway, um so, in amongst all of that, you might think that this week was just an awesome week for me. You know, no, not really. Part of the reason why I was so industrious and got so much done on Monday specifically was that my anxiety was peaking ridiculously. Um, I I was basically trying to stay busy to distract myself from the brain weasels. Yeah, that's what Monday was. And then Tuesday I was better. The anxiety had chilled some, but it was still fluctuating. And so, between work and other stuff, and this week has been kind of a tug of war between me and mental health. Um and I've been trying to do the right things, but I just couldn't figure out first of all, why, the full reason of why I was having. I mean, I take my meds regularly, so why is my anxiety spiking like this? Is it hormone related? Who knows? Right now in this whole stage of life thing, I can't gauge necessarily what is and isn't a hormone fluctuation that's screwing with the dopamine levels, that's screwing with my brain chemistry. Who knows anymore? I wish it was just as simple as, like, for instance, diabetics. You prick your finger, and you do a blood glucose test right there. You got the little machine. If only, I think if somebody could make a mint, creating one of those for women going through menopause. All right? It's like, can we do that? Can we can we check our estrogen level that easily? Is that a thing? Is that possible? A little at home little estrogen test just to say, "Oh, my estrogen's low." Because if you're if you are you know assigned female at birth or woman, and you're on estrogen, and or whatever the chemistry is going on, and you have ADHD, the lower the estrogen and the lower your dopamine, potentially the higher or greater your ADHD symptoms. Hmm. Like, I was having a conversation with one of my partners the other night, and this was when I was actually feeling a little bit better. But yeah, um we were talking about a book we'd both read, and he used a character name in a sentence, and I was like, "Right, oh yeah, I forgot about so and so." And I was talking about the same character, but even though he just said the character's name, I substituted a completely different name. The only thing it had in common was the same first letter. And he was like, "Wait, wait, wait. Is it so and so? Is it this name or that name?" And I'm like, "Oh, right. No, no, no. You're right." And he goes, "Well, you said that." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, well, the Swiss cheese, the sieve that is my brain for those, immediate recall things. He goes, "It was 2 seconds." I'm like, "Aha, you're finally understanding what I've been trying to tell you has been getting worse and worse over the last couple of years, is that immediate, it's like it like, rather than, like, sticking in the brain, it, like, just kinda bounces off." And I know we all have moments like this, but I feel like especially with me, with names or, certain instructions, certain functions. Like if somebody tells me something and then they say something else or I respond back, if I haven't like written it down as they were saying it, or even in weird shorthand to myself that I can at least jog, or I haven't like verbally processed that before I have made the next comment, I'll have forgotten that first thing they said. If they say 3 things, I'll have forgotten the first one by the time they say the third one. And it's really annoying because my recall used to be a lot better. Now, that's not to say that I have, the memory of a goldfish, um, anymore. I'm not completely like Dory from Finding Nemo or anything. No, because I can remember a lot of things. It's just that like immediate, like the temp files, they just, my cache gets cleared a lot. To put it in computer terms. But anyway, so that being said, that was this week, and it was a little bit of a struggle. Um, and there were a lot of things that helped. I mean, care and feeding of myself. I know things that I can do, whether it's distract myself, to get through it, like I did on Monday, or it's, adding a shot of chocolate syrup to my iced coffee or something so that I get that little bit of boost from the chocolate, the sugar and everything, and it just kind of helps me feel a little more, grounded or whatever. Whatever it is. I mean, it's like whatever I can do to help myself. Um, but there, but what really helped was on Thursday, I got fed up with, oh gosh, it was one of those moments where I was just fed up. I wasn't struggling. I wasn't sad or, anxious so much as I was just frustrated at this situation that is ongoing this week. And I'm like, fine, I'm gonna go do something about it. I was going to go seek help, but I was gonna go seek something to help, and I was like, "Okay, there's an avenue I haven't tried here, let me do this." Doesn't matter what it is. Um, and part of it was just thinking it's like, "Alright, yeah, we're gonna do this. We've been contemplating it, it's been suggested, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm gonna do it now." I did not charge off half-cocked and get myself into trouble, thankfully. I did have enough wherewithal to think, "Wait a minute, maybe I don't have to drive down to Tallahassee for this. Maybe I can," it's like, "Okay, I can do some errands. Okay, no, we got a game plan." I actually did put a little bit of a game plan together before I left the house. Um, and but even the action of going to do that, um it was helpful. It kind of, it popped some good brain chemistry, and it made me feel more in control. But it came down to, and this is our thoughts on brilliance for this week. It came down to the fact that brilliance is choice. Now, it's not always a matter of, "Oh, I'm choosing to be brilliant today," because, well, that's great if that works for you, but it may not work. May not work every time. It might work sometimes, might not work at others. It's That's not the choice I'm talking about in regards to brilliance. Um, Brilliance is being able to make choices. A lot of times we deal with, and I know, and I say we meaning a lot of us, deal with something called analysis paralysis, where we have so many options, so many potential projects, going back to my yarn related stuff or the book related stuff or art related anything. We have so many ideas, avenues to explore, things to see and do and try and experience that we get absolutely locked up inside because we can't make a decision. We can't choose one over the other. Sometimes we give that choice to somebody else, and it's kind of like the, I don't know, where do you want to eat kind of thing. Make sure that, like, the person you're going to is like, help me make this decision, is a type of person that is okay with helping you make that decision. Don't spring it on somebody. Have a conversation with this potential person outside of a moment of analysis paralysis. Um, but sometimes, we flip a coin. Sometimes we just choose what feels right in the moment. But it's in that choosing that we have the ability to find our brilliance, to see our brilliance in action. That's the kind of choice I'm talking about. Not talking about, oh, with my anxiety, oh, I choose not to be anxious. Because, buddy, let me tell you, that's not how it works. You can't even go, well, it's not really logical to be anxious about this or worried about that. Logic isn't driving the bus on days like that. The wheels on the bus are going thump, thump, thump. It's because we're driving over curbs. We're not we're not on the logic highway. We're off in the woods somewhere. There's a mental image. There's a mental image. But yeah, so and those of you who experience that, that, and that frustration when somebody's like, well, just, and they make it sound so simple, and we know it's not. So I know it's not. But when we can make that choice, when we can make that choice between all of our options, or sitting down and maybe thinking about our priorities, because that's another type of choice. It's like, yeah, do we what do we want to do more, or choosing to not do something anymore. The choice not to engage in something anymore is it's huge. Like, I have two projects. I think I might have mentioned last week that I've decided, there's not one but two projects that I had started years ago, and I was really excited about doing them then, but I don't think they're going to work. It's not that the pattern wouldn't have been executable. Sure, I could have made it, but would I have worn it? Would I have enjoyed it? No, I decided no. So it's time to rip them out. So that was the choice, not to be beholden to the idea that me from 4, 6, 8 years ago had. Those choices to redirect our ship, those choices that's like, this is not what I want to do anymore. This is what I want to do. And I get it. Some of those choices are privilege based. Sometimes we don't have a choice. And then it's it's like, well, I might be stuck doing X, but because I do X, I get Y out of it. And it may not be a direct correlation, but it's like, I used to feel that way at times. It's like, well, I don't want to get up. I don't want to go to work. And this kind of goes into that whole should thing. It's like, don't should all over yourself, because should puts you under somebody else's rules, somebody else's authority. Whereas it's like, yeah, I really don't want to get up and go to work, but if I get up and go to work and I do the things that I do at work, then I get paid. And with that money, I can go do this. It might be I can pay a bill and I don't have to worry about this bill, or it might be, ooh, we can go out to dinner tonight instead of cooking or something. Those are the choices we're faced with on a daily basis. And sometimes, in more monumental decisions, like, what am I going to do with my life? you know, all of these choices are important and valid, and things that we can do to show our brilliance, to find our brilliance, to meet our brilliant self where we are, not later, not in the past, but right now. That makes sense? I might be rambling. Well, no, I 100% know that I'm rambling. I do kind of try and give these some thought before I hit record, but I also don't want to get bogged down with editing. That's a choice I made. A choice I made to leave in whatever flub I do, however long I ramble, wherever the road takes me. I leave it in. And as soon as I finish recording this, I'm going to go over and start it uploading and get it scheduled for tomorrow so that I don't have to worry about it and I don't have to risk forgetting. That choice freed me to get these done quicker and get them to you on a regular basis. If I made myself, or if I expected myself, if I made the choice to record and then edit out all, any little ifs, thens, or buts, or ums, or ahs, or strange tangents that had nothing to do with the price of tea in China, it would be a lot more work, of course. I mean, we go from no editing to editing. That's anyway. But it would also, I mean, it would take more time out of my day. It's a choice of using the time and energy for this when I'd rather be doing that. And in the grand scheme of things, it's okay. No one is going to suffer except for maybe your patients, but if you've watched this long, then thank you. And you must find me at least amusing, I hope. And hopefully something I say, can resonate and kind of get you thinking on how it applies to you or doesn't. It's okay if it doesn't. There's no rule that says this must apply to you. You could just be curious about what's going to come out of my mouth this week. But yeah, all of those choices are choices we make. That was redundant. But all of the choices that we make every day, every week, every month, every moment that we're faced with a choice like that, when we have the opportunity to make the best choice for us, not necessarily the best choice for someone else, but the best choice for us, makes a big difference. And it's one of the many ways we can show the world our brilliance. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm always on the lookout for those moments of brilliance within myself. And if I can, if I can share those when they happen or talk about them after the fact, because who's filming all the time? This is not a reality show. This is not a Big Brother house. Although sometimes I think that would make it easier to put clips together, but that requires editing, and I'm not doing that right now. But all of these things, you know, this is my journey, and I invite you along on it. If you choose to watch from the sidelines, that's fine. If what I'm doing isn't your cup of tea, that's fine too. But if you are getting something out of it, if it does make you think, or maybe not for you, but maybe it's something to pass on to someone else that that might be going through a similar situation. We all have our goals and we all have our struggles to get to those goals. And our most brilliant self is found sometimes at that fork in the road where we take one route or the other. Sometimes it is stuck in the depths of a valley where we just decide, okay, I'm just going to get up and I'm going to take one step, you know, or I'm going to shovel one piece of, one scoop of dirt. I'm going to move it from here to there because at least it's closer to where I need to be, you know. Sometimes that's all we can do. And some days it's like, no, I'm going to go take a nap underneath this tree and, that's all I've got in me today. And maybe, just maybe, that's okay. It's like maybe just maybe that nap under the tree over there will afford you the energy to do something tomorrow. You know, we're all doing the best we can. We're all having this human experience in what is varying levels of confusion and chaos in the world. And as always, I want you to take care of yourself because that is of utmost importance. It's important for you, but it's also important for the people around you. If you have the inclination, bandwidth, and you want to take care of someone else, yes, do that. Make sure you're covered first. That whole oxygen mask, put it on yourself before you try and help someone else. Do that. Keep that in mind. Remember that because you are just as worthy, if not more so, than anyone else for your own time and effort and interest. Thank you for hanging out with me for the last 30 minutes if you made it this far. I will be back next week. It will be Memorial Day, or no, Labor Day weekend. I always reverse those. Um, it's like the end caps of summer. I always have to think about which one it really is. Um, yeah, but I will see you guys in another week. Take care of yourselves. Try and do something nice for yourself this week. And like I've said before, even in this video, never be the world afraid to show the world your brilliance. Bye.